Yo, I believe in that.
You believe in the flat Earth?
Yeah, man.
All right, let's talk about this.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna jump it off. I like stuff like this.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
Stuff like
We're about to take it back.
Bitch, fuck all your politics, time to start solving shit. Time to start solving shit, time to start solving shit.
I feel like we should just start from the beginning because there's no better place. What made you want to do music?
My dad. My dad is who made me want to do music. My dad was involved in music, so that's what kind of, gave me the idea to get involved, you know what I mean? So I started getting involved with music when I was 8. My dad at the time was working as a maintenance man at these apartment complexes. And he asked me if I wanted to go with him one day to go evict someone. So I went with him, and while we was moving some stuff out, I went to this like closet, and I found this microphone. And I mean, it was broken into pieces, but I was always curious about fixing it. So I've never got it fixed, but what I did was I actually went bought a new mic, you know what I mean, and playing around with the karaoke machine, and ever since then is when I this is when it all started for me. So
Karaoke machines, so like cassettes?
yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. These karaoke machines would have like a side A and a side B.
Mm-hmm.
What we would do is we would put the instrumental on side A and put the blank tape on side B. So once we record on B, then we'd take B out and then put A back on B side and record over that. So we just constantly keep switching it until we kept layering it, whatever. So
Where were you getting the instrumentals? Were they just like cassettes of instrumentals?
yeah, it'd be like a Snoop Dogg or a Dr. Dre cassette. And, using back then with cassettes, they'd have like the song on one side and maybe the instrumental on the other side, you know what I mean? So,
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's
For
crazy. I always wondered how that would happen back then.
Yeah, for sure.
That's crazy. How did you start making beats?
I started making beats with a buddy of mine by the name of Nizzy. He kind of taught me how to play the keyboard a little bit, you know what I mean? So I ended up remaking the beat, got 5 on it. That was the first beat I ever tried to remake. So once I figured out how to make that beat, I figured, okay, well, I can always redo these beats and just kind of put my own little twist to it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, I've been making beats. So,
do you play like instruments? Did you ever like go through like any classical training or even just like through school or?
yeah, in middle school, I had like a violin class.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only instrument, not instrument, but the only thing I really could play is keyboard. Violin was cool, but it just wasn't really my big interest. You know what I mean? If anything, I would like to learn how to play bass.
See, violin always seems like fascinating to me. Like how the fuck do you move that thing across some strings to make that noise? Like I get a guitar, like I get plucking it, but like that shit's always been weird to me. This girl I went to school with, her name was Amanda. She could play the violin like a motherfucker. It was crazy. She would do talent shows and it sounded like some symphony shit. Like it was like I was always wondering like how the fuck do you actually make a noise on one of them bitches?
Dude, you'd be surprised, man. With those strings and you holding like the certain point of a string, if you just bring that whatever you call it across, it'll make some noise.
It's like the tension of it.
Yeah, it's weird, man. It's hard to explain.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it like a feeling that you like? Because I tried to do it with a guitar, but like with just like a coat hanger. You know what I mean? I was just like, let me see what I can do.
You gonna break it?
Yeah, shit was not doing nothing. It's like I gotta try though.
Yeah, no, for sure. Ain't nothing wrong with trying.
That's funny. I used to play the trumpet. So
Oh, for real?
yeah, I used to do the marching band.
Trumpet is sweet. I've actually tried playing the trumpet myself. The trumpet was all right, but after a while, I didn't like after you blowing it so much, it get
Yeah, that
all
shit
like
makes your lips hurt.
yeah, man. And
So you
then
create your own reed.
and I remember taking the what do you call it thing you used to blow into, and you take it off and all that spit just come out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that shit was stink too.
Yeah,
It was
for
fucking
sure,
foul.
man. Yeah,
It was
man.
the worst shit in the world. I remember our little section of the fucking band. We all had like little fucking spittoon buckets almost that they would give us.
Yeah,
It was the worst fucking shit. They'd be like brown on the inside from rust because they wouldn't clean them out enough. It was like,
right,
you motherfuckers got like tetanus waiting to happen right here.
yeah.
So, did you do anything with any of the classical training specifically to help incorporate into your beats, or do you feel like there was other inspirations that have led to what you do in regards to that?
Well, I mean, some of those classes I've taken, it did give me some kind of like input, on how things are like put together. But me, man, I've always had an ear. I've always had an ear. I've always had an ear, and uh, I was real more stuck on trying to make beats with a keyboard or a drum machine because the producers I was looking up to, those were the things that they were using. Like MPCs 2000s, ASR 10s, TS 12s. You know what I mean? So like those were the things that I was using. When I first started making beats. Boss drum machines, the DR5s and stuff like that. Like I can remember all of those drum machines that the Elises, all of those drum machines that we was using back then. Because now everything is not hardware no more. A lot of the things now is all computer. So a lot of that stuff that I was playing around with back then is now all on computer.
How do you think it compares?
Now the quality is just the same. Like I remember back when making beats on computer was becoming popular. That's when FL, was starting to grow. When I've ever heard of anyone making beats on the computer, everyone was using FL Studio, and every beat that I heard come off of FL Studio was like trash. Like somebody could play a beat for me, and I can just instantly tell that it was from Fruity Loops because. Like Fruity Loops then, I don't know if people was just learning it, but however, it was like all the quality that was coming off of it was just trash.
Do you think it was like the stock sounds, or do you think it was just the lack of originality?
I would probably say sounds, because at that time computer was just new, and like I said, at this time it's still hardware. It's keyboards, drum machines, and like for instance me, I have like a drum machine. The drum machine I've used was a MPC 2000 XL, and it was a sampler. So I would sample like kicks, snares, and these would be like mixed and mastered snares. Like I would listen to like a Dr. Dre CD, and his drums is always simple. And as soon as I found like an open kick or an open snare, I was sampling it right off the CD. And then I knew where the sounds was coming from. They was crisp, they was clear. So back then, like I said, before we were sampling with computers, we was actually using like drum samplers, keyboard samplers, sampling real drums from real albums that's been mixed and mastered. So we knew where we were sampling it from. It was a good source of where we were sampling it. You get what I'm saying?
So would that shit like just plug into like whatever the cassette was connected to?
Well, it's a sampler is just how I'm saying is a sampler. So like you can have like a microphone. You see how I got this mic? I can plug this mic into a sampler, and I can sample myself what I'm saying right now, and I can like yo D, yo D, yo D. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So like I would find old records or old CDs, and I would take like an aux cord and I would plug the aux cord out of the CD player into the sampler. So yeah, I would just plug it straight into there. So and then I would just sample it, I would chop it, and then I was editing it and I was using it. You know what I mean? So yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep. Yep.
See, it's weird because I grew up in the computer era, so I
Right.
never think about.
Well, now with computer, you can just it's basically doing the same thing.
Right.
Like basically, this program that we're using right now is a sampler. It's basically recording me and you can basically take whatever piece of audio that you want to use and just use it into a beat.
No, it's true.
You get what I'm saying? So yeah.
It's just like you don't think about like when there's cassettes and stuff. Like how would you even feasibly come about it? But it makes sense. You just literally have a machine that's built where you just put it right into.
Well, yeah,
it.
it's just stacking layer on layer. So just think about it. If you got an instrumental over here and a blank over here and a mic input, once I hit record on the B side, I'm gonna hit play on where the instrumental is, and then as soon as I start rapping, the beat and me rapping is gonna go to B. Then I take B, put it back in A. So mind you, on A now I've got the beat and I got my vocal, and I just get another blank cassette and I put that in B. So now while I'm hitting play with the beat and the vocal, I'm recording over here. Now remind you, the mic is still plugged into the karaoke machine. So whatever's on A with the beat and the vocal that I've already laid before, I'm going to take that and that's going to double automatically to B as I'm laying this second vocal on top of it now.
And could you get like any microphone to do that with, like that, or was it like specific like?
Well, here's the trick about that. When we was doing that, once you messed up, we had to do it over. So like once you went through it the first time, it had to be perfect.
Right.
You had to get a perfect take. And then once you went back over with the second recording, sometimes you either have to step away from the mic or whatever, or somehow adjust to where once you record into it, it's not as loud. Because once you lay that second layer, like you kind of like your ins and outs, you kind of want them down anyway in your mix, right? Just, so that would be the way to do it. But yeah, it was tough then, man. But now with Pro Tools, you can just record. And let's say if you mess up, you can just go right back and punch in.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right. Yes.
So technology, man, is just.
See, that's crazy.
Oh yeah.
So, and you can correct me if I word this wrong, but you were signed to We the Best.
Mm-hmm. Yep, me and two other producers back in 2009, we were signed to We the Best Management, which was DJ Khaled, DJ Nasty, the Runners. It was two members of the Runners, Drew and Zane, was the two producers for the Runners, and they were looking for in-house producers. So what happened was it was me and the two other producers I was working with. We was in my basement one night, just working on some beats, and we was on Twitter, and we seen Khaled post out a tweet talk about looking for producers and songwriters. Send your beats to like this we the best gmail.com whatever, right? So at this time it's probably about like maybe 8 o'clock at night in the evening.
What year?
2008. Yep, this would be 2008. Yep, the ending of 2008, going in 2009.
Okay.
And this was around November, a little bit after my birthday, when this happened. So I say about like 8 o'clock that night, we sent the beats, and I'll probably say that following morning, about like maybe 3:30 a.m., my phone ring. Now,
So, wait, how did you decide what beat to send?
You know what? That's always tough because you want to send your best beats. You know what I mean?
Right. Like as an artist, like I always think about that dreaded moment. Like if I was put on the spot, like spit some shit right now. Like what verse am I gonna go to? Like which one do I really think is the pinnacle of all my verses? Like
what kind of helped us select the beats for Khaled was okay. So we knew it was going to Khaled. So working with Khaled, ain't no telling who he's working with. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we were like, all right, we just gonna pick our best 6 beats. You know what I mean? So we sat there, we picked about 12 of them, and then we just narrowed down to the best 6, and then we sent like 3 beats in 2 different emails because sometimes you don't want to overflood the email.
Right.
So yep, we sat there, we picked our best 6 beats. by like 3:30 in the morning. Now, by this time we sleep. You know, it's night. You know, it's me and my girl and my dad. My dad was staying in town at the time, and like I said, it's like 3:30 in the morning. My phone ring. I'm in the bed with my girlfriend. I gotta answer it. You know what I mean? It's already late, so I answer it, and he's like, "Yo, this is DJ Khaled." You know what I mean? And I'm like, "Yo, what's
No
good?"
shit.
Yeah. He's like, "Man, I just got the email. You guys got like 5 or 6 more beats, whatever." I'm like, "Yeah, yo, we got it, we got it." You know what I mean? He's like, "Yo, send them right now. I'm in the studio. I'm with my peoples, whatever. We gonna check them out. We gonna go from there." So I'm like, "All right, bet." So
No shit.
mind you, we was already like trying to pick our best 6 beats.
Right. So now
Now
you gotta pick more.
now he's asking for more beats. You know what I mean? So I don't know what to pick. I'm in a group with 2 other guys. I don't want to just pick these beats on my own.
Right.
So I called DJ Eclipse. He picked up. I'm like, "Yo, Khaled just called me back." I said, "Yo, he wants us to send some more beats," and he's like, "All right, bet." And then we called Grace because Grace was one of the members at the time. You know, with the chemist. We hit up Grace. Grace wasn't answering. But you know, these beats was for Khaled. You know, Khaled responded. So Eclipse picked me up, and then we went and picked up Grace,
Yeah. Right.
knocking on his door, beating
I
on his
feel
door,
it.
waking him up. You know what I mean? You know, we beating on his door. Him and his girlfriend, they waking up, they upset because we beating on their door like 4 in the morning now. You know what I mean? And I'm explaining to them, you know, that DJ Khaled just called and he wants us to pick some beats, whatever.
That's fucking crazy. That's like a movie. Like
Yeah, man. So yeah, Grace jump up. We go back to my basement, whatever. We again try to pick out our best 6 beats, right? So we send these beats, right? By this time, it's probably about like maybe 8:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. So we send them beats, right? We all go home, go back to sleep. We wake up. We kind of just waiting by our phones to see if he's gonna call. He doesn't call, right? And you know, somebody like Khaled, you know, you don't want to bug somebody like that. You know what I mean? So I just said, okay, you know, we just wait and see, you know, if he calls one day. So Christmas rolled by, the New Year rolled by, and I will never forget January 4th, 2009, right?
right.
He calls us. And what's crazy is we was in the studio already just working on some other stuff. He called, was like, "Yo, I heard the beats. What you guys thinking about signing with We the Best?" And we was like, shoot. We was like, man, you know, shoot, that's something that we always dreamed and hoped for, you know what I mean? And he's like, all right, bet. And then he was basically telling us to get our attorney together, and he's going to get his attorney, and we're going to get them together, and they're going to want to be, you know, negotiating, you know, the contract, right?
Right.
Now, Khaled asked us, Khaled like, well, y'all got an attorney? We was like, yeah, but at this time we didn't.
Right.
So we had to go out, find an attorney. That was a little tough because, you know, not a lot of entertainment attorneys, you know, in Lansing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was actually gonna ask that. Like, where the fuck do you even find an attorney? You have to go to Detroit or something?
Well, I knew a buddy of mine by the name of Drock. Drock introduced us to a woman named Beverly out of Wisconsin.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, and she was an entertainment attorney. Shout out to Beverly. You know, she went over the whole contract with us. You know what I mean? It was 14 pages long, front and back. She broke it down to us. She like, hey, you know, do you guys understand this? And we was like, yeah. And then, you know, she like, do you guys understand that? And we was like, no. She was like, and then, you know, she go more into detail on what the contract was trying to explain. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Some of it was cool. You know, I always tell people, your first contract is not going to be your best contract. You know what I mean?
Mm.
You know, at this time, you know, we're underdogs, you know? So, I'm not saying settle for less, but at the same time, you know, don't get ripped either. You know what I mean? So, anyhow, we end up signing. You know what I mean? Then after we signed, then I say probably about maybe 2 weeks after that, you know, now we're in the publishing agreement stage. You know, so not only do Khaled wants to sign us to a management agreement, he wants to sign a publishing deal with us. the publishing deal does break down percentages, but it also breaks down that, you know, when the money's dispersed, you know, Khaled does wanted our publishing money to go to him. You know what I mean? Um, it was just something to think about. You know, usually back in the day, if you're a producer or a songwriter, um, what you would do is you would sign up with a publishing company. You sign up, you will sign up with a publishing company, and then you will also become the publisher of that company. Um, to make a long story short, um, Khaled wanted our publishing to go to him, and then he dispersed on what he felt that we deserve. Um, we just didn't know about that, so we just didn't sign that part. Basically, we didn't sign a publishing agreement, and what people got to understand is the publishing is where the money's at. You know, if if these if these people don't have it in stone already of how they're going to get their money out of you, then they kind of put you on the back burner. So anyhow, Khaled did help us get placed with Jeezy. Khaled did help us get placed with Rick Ross. Um, the one we did with Jeezy was called Block by Block. It was us sampling Barack Obama when he first became president.
Mm-hmm.
It was the night of the inauguration.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, he was on CNN, and you know he was giving his speech, and then I remember him saying, "We're going to take America by storm, block by block, brick by brick." So, like me, Eclipse, and Grace, we ran into the studio and we sampled that.
Mm-hmm.
Block by block by block, block by block by block, brick by brick by brick. So I remember Khaled being
Yeah, I
down.
actually remember that song too.
Yeah, because Big Perm used it. Big Perm used that beat.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, Big Perm used that beat. Now I'm gonna tell you the situation with DJ Khaled and Jeezy. I remember Khaled calling us one time. He was in Atlanta at the time where the BET Awards was being hosted.
Mm-hmm.
He was with Jeezy, and he called us on the phone and was like, "Yo, I'm with Young Jeezy right now. He filling that block by block, brick by brick." You know what I mean? And we was like, "Yeah, you know, let's get it." So you know, Khaled was like, "Yo, I got Jeezy with me right now." So you know, he put Jeezy on the phone, and Jeezy like, "Yeah, I'm feeling that block by block." You know what I'm saying? And we were like, "Yeah, you know what I mean." So a couple of days later after that, Drew from the Runners called us and say, "Hey, can you send us that beat without Barack Obama on it?" So we kind of asked, you know, why would we want to take Barack Obama off? You know what I mean? It's a hot hook. He was like, well, you know, he just becoming, you know, president. You know, we don't think it's a good look, whatever. You know, so we want to try getting someone else from Jeezy camp to say the hook. Well, once Jeezy, you know, redid the hook, I mean, it was a fire beat, but it just wasn't the same. You know, I mean, it was a fire beat, but what helped really make that song was us sampling Barack Obama saying, you know, block by block, brick by brick. You know what I mean? So that record didn't come out. You know what I mean? Even with Rick Ross, we produced a beat for Ross. It had a sample in it. By the time the sample got cleared, Ross' album was already turned in, so that didn't get used either. But you know, being signed to Khaled, you know, it did help open doors for us. It did help us, you know, meet people. It did help us build relationships with other people. Um, Dude, once we signed with Khaled and we went knocked on someone's door saying, "Hey, you know, we producers, we got some fire beats, we signed to Khaled," you know what I mean? People were like, "All right, bet, come on in, let's let's say what you got." And 9 times out of 10, they was using it. If they wasn't using it right away, if we kept sending them beats, they was using them. You know what I mean? So yeah, yep. So you know, I don't regret that. None of us regret that. We definitely appreciate Khaled and the whole "We the Best." The opportunity was great, and even for myself, I even sat back and think to myself, I don't know where I would be today if you know we didn't have that co-sign or if we didn't get signed by Khaled. I mean, you know, I've always been a good producer, engineer, you know, in the Lansing community, but just being able to say, you know, I was signed with We the Best, you know, not a lot of people are able to say that. You know what I mean?
No, it's true.
Yeah. So
Do you think that there's still a place for labels in 2021?
I don't know now, man. A lot of the things now, the way I see it, man, is like a lot of people really just staying independent. You know what I mean? The thing, I mean, here's what I tell people: if you get a deal that come along the way, as long as it's not forever, you know, take it, because doing that, like I said, your first deal won't be your best deal, but it'll help definitely give you that platform. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the things that a lot of us producers and artists struggle with, is just trying to figure out how we can build a bigger fan base. You know what I mean? A bigger audience. So, but other than that, I will always suggest for people to stay independent, because if you stay independent, you can make your own decisions, come up with your own creativity, your ideas. You know what I mean? And fans like people for originality. You know what I mean? People being themselves rather than getting with a label. Them kind of molding you into what they think you should be, or what you should sound like, or who you should be doing songs with, and when you should and when you shouldn't be able to come out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's crazy, but.
So have you been looking into the NFTs that have been kind of going viral lately?
Yeah, I have. I mean, going viral is always great. I don't know how, if I would be with someone to go viral.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Do you think that in the future NFTs are going to hold the same type of place that it's starting to with like art? Like it's gonna like having a digital file that is being able to be proven as like this is the only version of this file that you can get. It's like having like the Mona Lisa, like being able to have an exclusive version of some hit record.
Right.
Do you think that that's going to change what it even means to be independent? Or
I don't know, man, because you know what? The game changes so much. You know? The game just it changes so much, you just never know. But I have been seeing things online to where they talk about, like, as far as like all like the streaming companies, whatever, they actually getting ready to start paying the artists more money in royalties. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I was just watching a podcast with Cameron not too long ago. I forgot. I think it was Drink Champs or something like that. Whatever. Mm-hmm. He was actually saying, and I didn't know this, and I don't even know if this is true, but he was saying, let's say if you are signed to like a major record label, right? And let's say your record deal is over. Well, once your record contract is over, you have up to 7 years prior to once the contract is over, and you can re-record your music to where you can own your masters again. But I don't know if that's true.
I've never heard that before. I
know, me either. But from what I've heard, I think that's kind of how he maybe explain that. I mean, I'm not for sure. I don't want to put, I don't know if I want to for sure put that out there. But however, yeah. But yeah. But definitely something to check into though.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Right.
That would change shit for a lot of people.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, a lot of people be in trouble too.
Yeah, that would fuck over every single label that has anybody signed to them at all right now.
Yeah. I mean, what's your thoughts? What do you think?
I feel like at the end of the day, I don't see any reason that they wouldn't even be able to just leave and make new music without having to worry about it. But I don't know. I don't know if you could get away with making music that you made on a label without them getting you for some kind of a copyright infringement. Or
right.
It just seems like they would own you on that. Like that. I don't know. That's that dangerous game that you play with a label. If you like, I don't know. Like the Beatles, even like they lost more money than fucking they ever made.
Yeah, like, man.
I don't know. Maybe with the internet and the way that they're structuring contracts to keep people on, maybe you fucking could. I don't know.
Right, for sure.
I don't know. That's crazy.
Right.
So, what do you think about crypto? Have you been paying attention to like this Wall Street bet shit?
Yeah, man. Crypto seems cool. Crypto seems cool. Stuff like that, man.
Did you get involved with like the fucking Dogecoin or any of that shit?
Yeah, I actually invested in was it not Doggy Coin? one of those crypto things I invested into because it was growing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you about Bitcoin, man. I remember first hearing about Bitcoin. People didn't even know about Bitcoin. I say this. I was around a person, that's part of this brotherhood that I'm in. And I remember him telling me this was probably about, I would say maybe 2000 and maybe 13. He was telling me, he said, man, be on the lookout, man. They about to have some new stuff coming out called Bitcoin. If you can, get a chance to look into that, maybe want to invest in that because it's gonna grow. You know what I mean? And I'm like, man, Bitcoin. I'm like, nobody gonna be worried about no Bitcoin, man. Everything's always gonna be cash. Cash is never gonna go nowhere. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right, dude. Bitcoin has exploded. It's explode. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's had its ups and downs. You know what I mean? But for what Bitcoin and where it's at today, I would have never thought that something like crypto would be on what level that it is today.
Do you think fiat currencies might be the new Bitcoin, like
Yeah,
Dogecoin and stuff? Because it's, in the words of Elon Musk, it's the people's currency. It put the money back into the people's hands.
yeah, for sure.
So I put $15 into Dogecoin back in February when it was worth like less than half of a penny, and so I didn't pull out, but like that $15 fucking like turned into almost $200 at one point. Like it was fucking crazy. Like,
Yeah,
it would just shot up there, and like right now it's sitting at like $60 or something like that. Like, but it's just like $15, and I keep thinking like if that shit can just hit what the fuck Bitcoin is at, that shit would be worth like fucking $200 million. It'd be some
Right.
stupid fucking money like that $15 in fucking 2021 that you didn't even think twice about. You know
right.
what I mean? Like
Exactly.
it would be crazy.
Right. You're right about that.
I feel like with fiat currencies, it's gonna give us the ability to start to audit more of what is actually happening with not just the elites but with government also. It's going to put power back into the people's hands because it operates on a blockchain, which is like basically playing Monopoly. So there's a certain amount of money, there's only this amount of money, and there will never be more or less, and then it's just divided amongst people. You know what I mean? So the more people that buy in, the more the fractions will break down, but it's always the same amount of money. And the way that it operates, so that way you know that it's a true transaction, is you're able to see every single transaction that Bitcoin has ever been through, or any of these fiat currencies. So you would be able to essentially audit anybody in the world. So then some people might argue that's an invasion of privacy, but really and truly, I feel like with the internet, we've already given up that aspect of privacy, but this would open up true honesty of like, you know what I mean? Like, you motherfuckers are definitely doing some crazy shit with these tax dollars, and now we're going to be able to prove it. You know what I mean? Because these roads are shitty as fuck, and our schools are fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of shit that y'all ain't doing with these tax dollars. Let's see what's really happening. Where's it really being allocated?
Right.
I feel like the people will be able to actually take control of the government again with cryptocurrencies.
Right.
Do you agree with the woke culture that is starting to take over?
What is it called?
Woke culture,
No, I never heard of that. What's that?
this wokeness,
Nah, put me up on something. I'm here to learn.
this whole ideology of like flat Earth, like the whole.
Yo, I believe in that.
You believe in the flat Earth?
Yeah, man.
All right, let's talk about this.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna jump it off. I like stuff like this.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do
I like
it.
stuff like this. I mean, I like talking about the music too, cause I could talk about that stuff all day long. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, I ain't gonna lie. Anyone that know me know I could be a conspiracy theorist, boy. I swear.
All right, let's talk about this. Hold
Yeah,
on,
man.
hold on. Megan, I need you to hand me the alcohol. We're gonna have a. get in and pull my mic back.
I was gonna ask too. I didn't think about that. I mean, I know we kept going, which is cool. I know I'm turning my face. Can you see this sometimes?
Nah, you straight. You
Okay.
straight.
All right. I'm gonna believe y'all, man.
I mean, I can't see the camera. I'd be lying if I.
Okay.
But I never would have noticed nothing if you hadn't told me. You know what I mean? Like genuinely.
That's funny. My girl said the same thing.
You're gonna like it.
Okay, for sure. All right.
Would have thought that you were just going for a look.
I know,
Going
man.
Amish
That's
or
just
something.
funny, dog. I don't know why I
Just
did
breaking
that.
Amish.
Hey, matter of fact,
Yeah, that's better.
Wanna hit this
So
bottle?
pull it back just a little bit.
yeah, while we in edit mode,
Do you got shot glasses?
yeah.
Let's do some shots.
So his is just up more than yours, like towards the end of the couch.
Is this better?
Uh,
It's the first podcast. I apologize, people.
no, it is better.
One day this will be some Joe Rogan quality shit.
All right. Hey, but you know what though, man? One thing I've learned about podcasts, dude, it really don't matter where you shoot it.
It's true.
You know, background or you got the right setup. I mean, this is a blue. Blue is a good brand. You got some nice stands. You can unbolt this and you can take this anywhere, man. I mean, you good, man. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that. Yeah, when I set this up, I really had portability in mind because I wanted to have an actual location. Like the whole idea before I even did this, because I mean, we were talking about it before we started actually filming, but like been talking about doing this for fucking ever.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I wanted to have an actual location, like go rent out a building and like have it nice and like do the whole setup. But with COVID and all the bullshit, I was like, fuck it. We're just gonna do it simple, set it up in the living room, make it cozy, get some
Yeah.
dope lights, you know what I mean? And just you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
More comfortable that way anyway.
Yeah.
And then when I have a real setup, I'll just like try to make it as close to this as I can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think the couch is cool. This is dope.
Yeah.
This is dope. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so conspiracies, specifically flat Earth. Oh, pour shots. Megan's gonna be our young Jamie. We don't have a microphone for her yet, but it's all right. Yeah, pour some shots. Be our bartender. You know, flat Earth. So why do you believe in the flat Earth? Let's start there.
Ever since I was young, right? How can I explain this? Ever since I was young, they've always talked about the Earth being round, right? As a ball, right? This whole ball of this land and this water, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when you look at this ball that's Earth, there's actually a top of it and there's a bottom of it, right?
No, I mean,
No, I'm saying
based
like
on magnetics, yes.
right. I'm saying if they show us a picture of the Earth, it's literally a ball, right?
Yeah.
Like a ball, right?
Yeah.
Okay, watch this. So there's oceans, mass water, right? And I understand gravity, okay. But for real, you got this whole ball of water, right? You got the North Pole, the South Pole. Okay, we're going to say the South Pole. So you're just saying that the South Pole, there's just like all this water, right? All this like snow or whatever you want to call it. And it's not falling.
So
It's just sitting there.
the South Pole is specifically something that is designed by magnetics. So the only reason that it exists is because of our equator, and I don't know. I don't really know exactly why, but the magnetics pulls it in due north if you're over the equator and due south if you're below it. And if you just keep going that way, and that's why they actually say that Earth is tilted on an axis, because the way that it would look if you were to like see it going around the Earth would be like this. But I do think it's the gravity that's holding the water here, and it's not a ball; it's spherical. Me and I'm not gonna say his name just in case he doesn't want to be mentioned because he's not like in the limelight. But
Right,
me,
right.
me and my boy were having a debate about this not too long ago. Like it's a spherical object, so it's kind of like a ball, but it's like it's just a sphere. But there's like gases and other things. Like it's not just the water. You know what I mean? Like so, like the pressure is all holding it together.
Really? Okay.
And also, if you were to be like if you were like a sniper and you were shooting, you actually have to adjust for the curvature of the earth, otherwise you won't hit your target. So
I've
there's
heard of
like
that.
a actual arc, and the way that they initially discovered it was from sailing. They noticed that objects in the distance don't just like appear to come closer, but you actually start to see like the top of the object, and it kind of comes up as you get closer to it, which indicates that it's actually like coming out of like a round object. Um,
I know. I get what you're saying.
but I don't know. I've always been fascinated by the flat Earth because I I've been fascinated by the hollow Earth as well, and I
Yeah.
think that like. Do you think that there could be a flat Earth and a hollow Earth? Is there a center of the Earth if there's a flat Earth?
I mean, I don't know. I wasn't born then, but my thoughts would be.
Just on some
I
stoner
I
shit.
don't I don't I don't know if. Thank you. That was cool. Um, I would probably more believe flat Earth than hollow Earth. Um, I can imagine us maybe floating on like a disc of some sort, but for it to be water on top of this ball and for it to be water on the bottom of this ball, I just I just never. I've always thought like, man, it can't be that much gravity to be holding up so much water that's under something that can actually fall down. So as a kid, I've just always thought about that. I've always thought maybe one day if I get older and I can truly figure out how this thing is really built. But dude, I don't got no rocket to go up sky.
No, I feel
You
that.
know what I mean?
Do you think that you could sail one direction or just keep going one direction and then wind up back in the same spot? Or do you think that you would actually hit an edge?
Well, if I believe in flat Earth, I think there will be some type of edge.
See, and that's
Kinda. I yeah. Yeah.
see,
Yeah.
I would love to like have like the ability to do like a sailing voyage, and we could like find out like
I know.
officially like do like a podcast vlog type thing.
I
Like,
know. Bring
like,
enough food and water, I'll go with you, man.
around the world in 80 days type shit. Like,
Yeah. Now I will say this. Okay. Um you know how they talk about the flat earth, right?
Mhm.
And then you know how they talk about the firmament. You familiar with the firmament?
Mm-mm.
The firmament is what basically they say what the firmament is what separates the heaven and the earth. All right. Um as growing up, I've always thought I do believe in space, all right? I believe in space. I believe in flat earth and I believe in space, all right? I do believe in space. But I also believe in this firmament, right? This firmament is what separates, like I said, the earth from the heavens, right? Um,
By heavens, do you mean spiritual heavens or like space?
spiritual,
Okay.
because that's where I learned the firmament from.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Was from a spiritual standpoint. Uh, basically, the firmament is what separates the earth and the heavens, and that the sun and the moon is in space. And if I can recall, I remember them teaching us that the sun is what stood still, and the earth is what spent on an axle or some sort, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe the opposite. I believe that for two things. One, that the Earth is still, and that the sun and the moon are moving. And not only that, I believe that the sun and the moon are a lot closer to Earth than what they taught us in school. And I also believe that the sun and the moon is inside the firmament versus being as far out in space as they teach us. That's what I believe.
All right, so let me absorb that for a second because I love having debates about stuff, and I feel like this could get fun. I actually want to have another shot because I feel like this is gonna be. So first, let me start off by at least like stating where my basis is for like where I stand on things.
Go for
So I believe in science on a very general basis, but I do believe that there is an existence of spirituality, but I think that it can be explained through science.
it. And I agree.
So I think in my belief structure that water is actually what is going to be discovered as soul. And I think that because everything on Earth is, as far as we know, all life on Earth is required by water. There are some rare exceptions, but they still have trace amounts of water, like cactuses and stuff like that, where, like, you know, it's basically dry. But I think that water is as close to spirit as it can be. I think that, like, when we die, your water either evaporates, which would be like your perception of going to heaven, or it would like go into the ground, which would be your perception of going to hell. And I think that it would be the physical, like, it might not necessarily change anything as far as what's actually happening in your perception of going to the pearly gates, possibly, but I think that it'd be like the physical explanation of what's really going on. But I also personally don't believe consciousness exists in the spiritual aspect. I think that it's more of a resting existence. I think that consciousness is a reaction of our neurons in our brains creating this, what we consider awareness, you know what I mean? This perception of like this fear of death. So we're doing what we can to prolong life. But that being said, that's also probably why I never heard of the affirmment. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't in that type of a situation. But that being said, I am fascinated by the idea of the sun being closer than we were taught, which I don't think that I think that they have a good guess because of, you know, they probably have based their math on, I don't know, the way that light reflects off of objects, I think is what they do. And they're able to time it and create the measurement of, you know, how far it actually is. And they're probably close within however many, you know what I mean? But what makes you think that it's closer?
How can I answer this? The reason why I believe that it's closer because for it to get dark about 8 or 9 at night, and then for the sun to rise about, I've been up early in mornings. I've walked up the studio and probably sun coming back up probably about like maybe 5:36 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That sound about right. In those hours, I just think that's too fast. I think that's too fast for the sun to be coming up. If the earth was that big, I honestly think it'd take a lot longer for sunrise to come up.
Like based on the speed that it's turning, do you think that?
Yeah, well,
you said that you don't think that the earth is turning. So you think that
no, but right. Well, that's why I'm saying I believe the sun is closer to the earth because the sun. Now, I mean, not that it sets, but it, to me, it kind of rises too fast. You know, if they try to if they taught us that the earth was this huge, right, and that the sun was just not the sun, not the sun was this. I'm sorry. I don't know. I just truly believe that
No,
the
I feel it.
that Earth is standing still. I believe it's flat.
Do you believe in gravity?
Not really. No, no. I don't know how we're floating, but I believe we're floating. You know what I mean? I believe we're floating. Um, no, I'm not really a big fan of gravity. Let's just say that.
So what keeps everything on the, if
Maybe some type of magnetic charge. I don't know. Something.
See, I've always
Oh,
I've always been fascinated by it because I've always believed very strongly in science. You know what I mean? I mean, my mom was religious. I did used to go to church when I was a little kid when I lived with my mom, but at, when I got into probably like fourth grade on, like I didn't have any association with that. So it's so it's such like a foreign concept to me to even think of things in that regard. And it's actually I really like it because I never hear that type of a perspective really, other than like my one friend that I don't mention, that me and him always have like what I consider really fun debates about it. You know what I mean?
right.
Um, so I guess let's talk about something a little bit old in the news, but still somewhat recent. Jeffrey Epstein, and more specifically his supposed hanging in his cell that doesn't seem plausible.
Right.
Supposedly the cameras just weren't working and nobody noticed. Like, what do you think about that?
Well, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna just be straight up. Um, about that guy. Crazy story. Um, I was once told that once you get to a certain level, you can you can buy ways of going out. Like I think with him, he didn't want to go down as a pedophile or a sex trafficker guy, so he wanted to go out by hanging himself, whatever. I guess they
So
are.
you think like he paid the money to get the cameras to shut off and the people to look away to allow himself or somebody else to do it for him?
Yeah, that's what I think. I don't care.
I've never heard that perspective, but that actually sounds like a
uh,
plausible, like I could see that genuinely.
yeah, you know, for someone to say, hey, look, me going down for that's not a good look. I don't want to go down like that. Is there a way, another way I can go out? They'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, go. We take care of this. We'll just say you hung yourself. You
When the
know,
fuck is that bitch whatever Maxwell going to fucking have her trial? Is
you
that shit even happening
you know
anymore?
what, man? I was just on Instagram, and I believe that she's going up for, I believe another trial, whatever. But yeah, I'm curious on what's going to happen to her too, because he's gone and she's still here, and and she's still going through it. Every time I see his wife, she's still going through that shit, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, from what I've like heard, and it's just been speculations on podcasts and shit, but she seems like she's like the head of that fucking operation. Like
Yeah,
she had a lot more to do with it than anybody.
yeah, yeah. I've heard that too. Definitely.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
seems fishy.
yeah. I mean, dude, see, that's what I be saying, man. It's a lot of stuff going on out there that we really just don't know about. You know what I mean? But what keeps us away from it and what keeps us distracted from it, is all the entertainment that's in front of us. You know what I mean? But yeah, dude, I mean, trust me. I tell people all the time, the world is a beautiful place, but there's a lot of wicked stuff going on out there, man. A lot of wicked stuff going on out there, man. And you know, like certain things out here are, talk about. I try to share it with people, and the first thing people say is, "Why? Why do you want to know? Why should you care? You know what I mean?
Right.
What does anything has to do with you? It ain't about that, man. I'm just a curious person, and I just like to know.
What do you think about the New York Times releasing information, I think now on 2 occasions, about UFOs and military sightings of them?
Yes. I don't care. I'm gonna just say it. I believe in aliens. I believe they're the ones that pull the strings. I believe they're the ones that run the earth. I definitely believe that the aliens are gods. That's what I believe.
You think that they are gods, or they are like the god?
Or I don't want to call them gods because God can be a big word. I would maybe say angels. You know, I mean, there's good angels, there's bad angels, but I definitely think and it's all a connection. It's all a connection. It's all a connection. If you go back and you look at the history, man, you start connecting the dots, you know, from the governments, these rich families, the Egyptians, pyramids, aliens. It's all one connection, man. It's all one big huge operation. You know, just like you believe in the reptilians and the Greys.
So reptilians, I do, and I think that there's a plausible explanation as to why. And I think that it also explains why there's stories of Atlantis. So I think that if
you believe in Atlantis,
I do. So
I do too.
So here's what I think. I think that if you were to go back, yeah, we got a guest on the podcast.
Well,
if you go back to Pangea, so like when like before all of this, you know what I mean, when all of the continents were together, and if you were to push that in, and another landmass popped out on the other side of the earth, I think that was Atlantis, and I think that continent was at that time, like all those continents clashed together, it created their supercontinent, and that clashing pushed in and created our Pangea, which created our separations.
I can agree with that.
I think that at that time, based on all of the fossil records that we were discovering, that dinosaurs were the main species around, and you know, sharks and shit like that. So I think that dinosaurs more than likely were the main things, and there have been evidence that there were intelligent dinosaurs. There have been numerous different digs that have found dinosaurs with tools and shit next to them. You know what I mean? So I think that they were intelligent.
I didn't know that. That's what's up.
Yeah, it, like 100% had tools for sure, like primitive tools from what we've discovered. But I think that who knows what would have been found like underneath the ocean. You know what I mean? If that shit sunk and this shit popped up, that would be the deepest part of the ocean probably.
Right.
But I think that based on that, and the fact that we also have evidence from like the circumferences of their skulls or something, that there were actually more than likely highly intelligent, or at least the potential to be highly intelligent reptiles that like could like potentially even like do stuff like similar to us. You know what I mean? Like I think that they were what we consider reptilians. I think that they had a society, a civilization, and I think that's what we consider Atlantis also. And I think that when you hear the stories of Atlantis like falling, there was a certain number of them that saved themselves, and a lot of the stories like these higher class or whatever. And I think that they probably did. Maybe they went to space. Maybe they had mastered that level of shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe they had something to do with the pyramids that we're discovering under the water that we seem to be recreating above land.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or at least used to be recreating above land.
Right.
But what's really interesting about these UFOs is there's a lot of indications based on their size that they're probably unmanned drones, which would make a lot of sense for like the crazy movements that they make. Like you can never do that with like a living person in it from our understanding of physics. You know what I mean? Like Commander Fravor, the dude that on the New York Times was now famous for talking about the Tic Tac, which was like the fucking literal Tic Tac looking ship that he fucking found. I think it was in the early 2000s. I don't want to say an exact date because I don't know. But the official records that have now been publicly released said that thing went from like, he was like flying. That bitch went from like up here down to like right below the ocean in a blink of an eye. and then back, and then like was just like doing crazy maneuvers that is impossible to this day. Like 20 years later, like we still can't do that. And there was no heat signature. There was just no indication of anything human from it. There was no like flag saying it was like Russia or China or some crazy shit. But this fucking thing was doing some crazy shit. And the reports now say that they have like hundreds of those every year. That's now public information, because I don't remember. I think it was something that Trump did though, that they have to release that shit. And fucking, yeah, they're fucking, I know I might be wrong about that. I don't know if
Wow.
Trump did that, but
I'm about to check into that.
yeah, it's
I
crazy.
didn't know that. That's crazy. Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah. See, I mean, however, I definitely think, there's definitely technology that's out there that our government has and that these alien has that's way just beyond, you know, our thinking. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. But like I said, we just got to keep our eyes and ears open to see what's what's going on. You know what I mean? But I can't wait for them to come. I can't wait for them to finally say one day, "Hey, they here." That's what I'm waiting on. I'm waiting on them to say they here. Because I honestly believe that's probably one of the biggest secrets out there is that aliens do exist, and I honestly believe that if they break the silence about aliens, it's kind of going to hinder religion only for the fact because in the Bible it mentions so many things, but it never once mentioned extraterrestrials. You know what I mean? So, but like I said, yeah, I believe in all of that, and I definitely believe that it's all of this one big connection. You know what I mean? And that's the reason why we have secret societies. Because you know some people like me and you, we can understand that kind of information. You can tell us stuff like that. We're like, okay, cool. But some people you tell that to, oh no, it can't be. No, I don't. Dude, you know how many people that don't believe in aliens, and and to me, that's just so selfish.
But the New York Times officially released a whole article, actually on two occasions at least, and like you could like Google them, like they,
Oh, so now, okay,
it's like official, like
so now, yeah, I get what you're saying. So now they are coming out saying, hey,
yeah, like they're at least saying that there are unidentified flying objects that we don't understand that are doing crazy shit. They're at least going that far. They're not saying that it's aliens, but they're not saying it's not. You know what I mean?
that's deep. Well, you know what though, I did also hear that, especially in these times, I did hear that after the year of 2000, sometime, you know, we will be having some type of contact with them. And then I hate for people to say, "Oh, when that happens, that's gonna happen 1,000 years from now." You know how long people been saying that? Well, guess what? That 1,000 years now, I believe is here. I believe it's here. It's been here. You know, things are going to slowly for surely keep unfolding, and us as people, just gotta, like I said, just gotta be aware.
See, what's crazy is the status of this country changed dramatically in the early 70s. In 1971, we got taken off the gold standard. It was the first time in the world's history that we didn't have a way to audit money ever. Like how crypto's going to bring that back, like we were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
When we were taken off the gold standard, it allowed it allowed us to quote unquote print money. But whenever you hear that the government is printing money or giving stimulus checks, you know what I mean? That the Treasury is actually committing a form of forgery. It's actually something that is impossible to do in cryptocurrency and was impossible to do on the gold standard. But
Mm-hmm.
so what forging is it makes it seem as if you have something that's worth value, but it's not. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yep.
So I sold you this fucking gold rock and told you it was gold, but it wasn't. You know what I mean? So when you're on a gold standard, or if you're playing Monopoly and there's only a certain amount of money, you can't trick me into thinking that you got more money. You know what I mean? You can't give me a stimulus check if I'm broke in Monopoly unless it's actually coming from the money on the board. You know what I mean? You can't print more of that shit. And that's what they created in 1971. They created the ability to print money. And if you notice, following 1971 became some of the greatest epidemics of drugs and despair that hit our country in fucking ever. You know what I mean? And it's not coincidental that it happened right at the end of segregation.
Right.
You know what I mean? There was a plan at play to essentially try to target ethnic communities, but they knew that they had to do it on a wide scope. So they couldn't blatantly make it seem like one specific thing anymore. You know what I mean? So they just fucking took us off the gold standard and started wiping out the whole fucking civilization of middle class and below. The whole fucking structure that made it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then the rich got super rich. They started getting like trillions of dollars. It was impossible to have $1 trillion in the 80s. You didn't do that. You were a millionaire. Like, you could be a millionaire. You might be like 10 millionaire. You might get up to 100 millionaire if you were Trump. But nobody was a billionaire. Right. Nobody had that. There was no access to that type of shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's not like you shouldn't be allowed to be a billionaire. It's just you shouldn't be in a situation that is forging money to make you a billionaire and stealing shit from the poor. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what they've effectively done since the early 70s is they've taken the power away from people. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you can even find it if you talk to like people that are just a little bit older that even grew up in segregation. Like, there was still an ability to make more money than what they did in the early 70s. Like, they've taken away all of the means to try to make money and get houses and get any type of anything. Like, they've made it so you can't get loans. They've made, you know what I mean? They've fucking red zoned all of the properties. They fucking, you know what I mean? Like, they have destroyed the foundation of what was once at least the potential to be a country. You know what I mean? Like, in my opinion, they've been slowly selling us to China the whole way through.
Yeah, and I believe that too. I definitely believe one day in the future that the United States of America will probably be ran and owned by China. I believe in that.
So, not even joking, the other day on a whim, just because, I don't know, I taught myself how to count to 100 in Mandarin, which is the main language spoken in China.
Wow.
Like, I did it in an afternoon. But
wow.
Yeah, because I believe the same thing. But I don't know if there's even anything that can be done, even if, like, with a podcast, if this bitch even hit like a couple million views, which, I mean, it's the first one. I doubt it'll even hit 10. But if it hits even a couple million, like, the powers have been shifting in regards to that since 1976. Mm-hmm. If I'm not mistaken, that was the first year that Mao ever came to America. And he was able to get his first peek into what is happening. There's a documentary on Netflix. It's actually like a documentary series, and I'm drawing a fucking blank on the name of it because I'm high. But they were talking about all sorts of shit, plastic, and you know what I mean, like fast food. But they were also specifically talking about China and the rise of China and how far they have came since the mid 70s to now. And I think they said in 2025 they're going to be economically superior to every nation on the planet.
Yeah, I can imagine. And
they already have the biggest population, which means that they're basically going to be the world. Like,
right.
There's not going to be a market without China. That's a scary thought.
Right. Yeah. And that I believe they have the capability of doing it. I really do.
What do you think about robots in wars?
Oh, man, I believe in that too. I believe in that. Because think about it. Computers is already taking over everything. computers is already taking over jobs and stuff like that, and other resources. Yeah, I honestly feel like, instead of sending humans out there, yeah, they would send artificial intelligence to go out there and do all the hard labor and fight the wars. I believe in that.
Have you seen the towns in Japan that are, or I don't know if it's towns or just like hotel resort areas that are just ran by robots?
No.
Like there's only like a couple people in the whole fucking area. I watched this fucking documentary about that too. It was fucking crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they fucking I think it was 2 people in this hotel and then everybody else was a robot. And they're like somewhat intelligent, you know what I mean? They had at least awareness of their bearings and their job, and they fucking do their thing. They also have
These do their thing.
they have a high percentage of robots in homes for like elderly people that are like their like almost like personal servants. They get their medicine, they clean their house, they fucking do all this shit, but they're just like these robot like fucking walking around Roombas. You know what I mean?
Really?
Like, yeah, like
That's
for real.
yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure now.
Fucking Japan's got some crazy shit. Like it's like looking into the future right now. It's fucking it's crazy.
Japan has always been smart and ahead of the game. You know what I mean? So.
Do you play video games, or did you ever play video games?
Yeah, I used to play video games. The last video game I played was Nintendo 64 007.
Really?
That was my shit.
So a hot minute ago.
Yeah.
No
yeah,
shit.
Yeah.
What made you stop playing video games?
Just busy.
Just busy?
Just busy. I mean,
No excuse.
I've tried a couple of years ago. I'll say back in 09, I tried to buy myself an Xbox 360. Trying to get, I was trying to dive into that, but
You said a couple years ago. It's 2021. That's like 12 years ago.
but yeah, right. But yeah, matter of fact, it was around the Khaled situation around 2009
That's
because
crazy.
I called myself, because at that time I was slowing down. Once we got to the situation with Khaled, I kind of slowed down on doing recording because I was really focused on just producing beats at the time.
Right, I could feel that.
And most of us producers, what we would do is we would just make beats and just play video games. Is just the thing to do. But instead of me playing video games, I would find other things to do like bowling. I love paintball fighting. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, stuff like that.
I've never done that. What got you into paintball fighting?
Just trying to do something different. You know what I mean? I've always, when I was young, I used to say that I was gonna go maybe into like the military.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, whatever. So instead of shooting bullets, whatever, I would always be a soldier just shooting a paintball. We would go paintball and we'd throw on, like what you got on,
Yeah.
like fatigue and stuff like that, whatever, armor. Because, man, them paintballs, man, they hurt.
I bet.
They really hurt. And don't let no one be rude and put the paintballs in the freezer, to freeze them up
Say
pretty
you swear.
tight. Them things hurt, you know what I mean? But paintball is fun, though.
I saw
Paintball.
that picture of you on Facebook with them quads and you were holding the 2 fucking
Yeah,
paintball
I actually didn't
guns.
go that day, but a few days after that, me and a few buddies, we actually went to like the woods and stuff, whatever.
No shit.
Had on some masks, whatever, and just around some four wheelers, shooting each other. We weren't really doing too much though, but
That's crazy.
yeah, I
Do
tried.
you do it on the fucking quads? You worried about getting paint on them bitches? Like,
No, the quad would just help us get to where we was going, because like we would be in the field or whatever.
I just imagine y'all on that bitch like fucking like rolling.
Oh
out
no,
on the
but
quads. It's like-
but some of us was riding past each other, shooting each other. You know what I mean? So
That's funny.
yeah, I try to have a little bit of fun, in the little bit of free time I do have.
See, I'm addicted to video games, but I have more video games that I haven't beat than that I have. But
Yeah.
downstairs in the basement, I got a fucking retro living room, like early 2000s living room is how I designed it. It's a old school tube TV. I got a PS2. I got the fucking Wii. I got a Sega. I got like just some classic systems. You know what I mean?
That's what's up.
And fucking I like to go down there sometimes and play like Grand Theft Auto 3 or whatever, and just like,
Hey, there you
know
go.
what I mean, like the fucking retros. But then I got all the new bitches too. Well, not all of them, because fuck all these fucking internet trolls that want to buy all the PS5s and Xbox Ones. But I got all the fucking systems right before those launched. And yeah, I'm fucking addicted to them. I even got a fucking Pokemon tattoo. Like,
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah,
it's my whole fucking life.
I see it.
So you said 007 was the last one you played. I really fucked with that game. I was little when that shit came out, but I remember playing that shit up until like the PS1. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
that shit was fucking epic.
yeah. Oh yeah, yep, for sure.
Um, did you ever do any type of contests for your music or any type of contest for anything in general, sports or?
Yeah, a buddy of mine out of Flint named Jay Carpay, he had like a little talent show, and in that contest is if you won, you win a $500 cash prize, and you win a beat from the chemist in a studio session with Kaz, and that was actually in 2015, I believe, if I can remember. Yep, but no, I mean, yeah, I've been a part of a few contests. It's like my homeboy KC over at Hood Illustrated. Sometimes he had dropped like a little contest, for his stuff. You know what I mean? To where he'd come to me for a beat and he'd pay, for the beat. He'd pay for the beat, and he'd put it up on the site, and he'd tell guys, hey, whoever got the hottest 16 or something like that, you get a discount or maybe get some, promo love in his magazine. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I
Definitely.
think Ward Beard. I did a contest with him, and I think I don't know if it was KC because I honestly don't know who he is, but somebody from Hood Illustrated was there, and that was one of the prizes was you got to be illustrated.
Yep. Yeah. Casey. Yep. Casey over at Hood Illustrated. Yeah, that's probably him.
That's probably him.
Yeah. Great guy.
That's crazy. I took third in that contest.
Yeah. See, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt sad, but you know what? I realized like there was a lot of shit that I wasn't doing for myself to help my music, so I started working out and stuff. You know what I mean? 'Cause,
Yeah, I seen that. That's what's up, man.
yeah, it's been a process.
Yeah, working out is definitely a process, man. I had my time when I was working out, going to the gym, an hour a day, you know what I mean, couple of days out of the week, then I go do arms, chest, legs, stuff like that, run, cardio.
Yeah, I've been doing 4 a week, but I work at Amazon for my day job right now. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I'm doing 10-hour days there. You know what I mean? If I'm lucky, I get out earlier. So I'll go work out before I go and do that shit. And then I'm like running, carrying fucking heavy ass boxes all day, going up these fucking houses.
Right.
But you know what's crazy? I was watching Joe Rogan's podcast, and he had this guest on there who's about to go to the NFL. He's like waiting for the draft or whatever. And right now for his day job, he works for UPS. Like,
Okay.
that's what he's doing. And I was like, you know what? As soon as I heard him say that, I was like, I don't got to be embarrassed about having a day job right now. This motherfucker's on a podcast getting millions of views. But you know what? There's something about that I feel like it's important to be addressed, and might even just be a segment in this fucking podcast. But
for sure.
People should never be afraid to truly just be themselves, no matter what. You know what I mean? Like,
For sure.
there's something about being a genuine person that just comes across. You know what I mean? I found that just making music, like when I started getting to open up in shows and stuff, like it was when I started making music that was true, that I felt, instead of
Right.
just trying to make music that I felt like people wanted to hear. And then I felt like that translated to everything, like everything I do that gets me money or any move I make, it's always from being a genuine person. I feel like this is something that's like people underestimate the power of just being themselves. You know,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, you're right.
might be the alcohol talking.
No, for sure. Anybody that knows me know I've always been myself. I've always been myself. It's always a plus to be a people's person, too. You know what I mean? I was late becoming a people's person. I was always shy. You know what I mean?
What do you
but-
mean by late? Like, what do you consider late? When do you think you became a people person?
Well, when I started talking more to people, because like I said, I was just always shy. You know what I mean? once I started like taking off with the studio and stuff like that and selling beats, whatever, um, I had learned to become more comfortable with communicating with people. You know what I mean? And um,
Do you think it was just the fact that you were being forced into more interactions, or do you think it was the recognition that like what you're doing is actually being validated and there was like a confidence in that?
yeah, definitely. I was just telling a buddy of mine this the other day. Um, being who I am, where I'm at today. I didn't ask for any of this. Um, it just came along with a part of the process. You know what I mean? Like I said, I wasn't really big on being a people's person. I've always stayed in the studio. I've always stayed in the studio. I was always one of those people always trying to be behind the scenes. You know what I mean? Kind of like Slim. Slim with Cash Money. People know of him. He barely talks, but he's the money man. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I always wanted to be. I've never really wanted to be a limelight person. I I would rather for people to more know my name than what I look like. You know what I mean? Because I don't care for people to know what I look like, but I do want people to know what Kaz Dramatic is or Too Dramatic. I want people to know that's me. You know what I mean? So when people hear it, people tend to listen because they know that it's a quality beat. You know what I mean? And 9 times out of 10, it'll be a good quality song to listen to. You know what I mean? So
I feel like you've done that. So when I was in ninth grade, I remember back then it was me and this dude Martin. You know Martin, dude that he had 11 track and shit.
Yep.
Back in the day,
I just talked to him. That's my guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, just talked to him yesterday.
Unfortunately, me and him have had a falling out, but I regret that shit. Hopefully, me and him could get cool again at some point. But back in the day, we all used to be real tight. Me and this dude Shammy, this dude Tyler, Brandon, all these motherfuckers. And I'm losing my train of thought. What were we just talking about? Oh my god.
No, we was talking about growing up. You were saying that something about Desco Martin 11 track. You were saying
You said something before that reminded me of something, and I forgot completely what the.
Oh no, yeah, I was saying, as far as being a people's person and who I became today and all that stuff, whatever. I never really asked for it; just came along with the process. You know what I mean?
Damn, I don't even know what the fuck I was about to say.
Yep, you was explaining something about him because I even remember him one day telling me that Kaz, he was like, one Kaz, I remember hearing about you when I was growing up, man, and I've always wanted to work with you, man. I've always wanted.
Oh, I remember what it was now. My bad.
Yep,
bro.
I remember him saying that to me too.
So back in the day, when I was kicking it with him and shit, I remember us hearing that there was a studio, and at the time the way that it was told to us was there's a studio on the north side with this dude who just got signed on to DJ Khaled's label, and it was right about 2009 because I remember it was when Mac Miller was starting to get real big on the internet and Wiz Khalifa and all them motherfuckers. So
I remember that.
I remember that whole little era. Like
Yep.
I was 14 then.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? And I remember thinking to myself, if I could meet that dude, I would make it. I genuinely had this like idea. Like I remember I had this little USB mic. Like it's funny because these are actually USB, but technology is different now. It was like a fucking USB mic that was like a stick and had like this button. And I remember like I went and I like just kept on recording songs and thinking like if I could just get him to hear one of these, shit would be so crazy. You know what I mean? So I think that you have accomplished that as far as like I didn't know what the fuck you looked like, but I knew who you were. I knew of you, and I wanted to find a way to get into a position to like get you to hear my music and like because when you're in that position when you're like 14 you have like these like I had just watched the movie Notorious and shit. You have like this idea of like somebody hears you, you're just gonna take your demo and then they're gonna fucking you're gonna be a star, like you know what I mean? Like so it was like this whole, but I think you have accomplished that genuinely because I remember at that point being genuinely excited, like no different than like it would have been to try to meet DJ Khaled. Like at that point in my life, it did feel like that. Yeah. Same thing with Crackalack. I remember hearing about Crackalack and this. At that point, he was a rapper. You know what I mean? Yep. And I remember hearing all about him and all this stuff. And I just didn't actually this dude Ryan Anderson, who I went to school with, told me I think he was his cousin. Mm-hmm. And yeah, like the whole time, and I was just like, if I could meet these motherfuckers, like everything would change. Like these people are doing something crazy. Yeah. And it's weird because in the future, that shit like our paths and intertwined and shit. Like it's just it's really weird how shit works out.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like laws of attraction. You
yeah,
know?
right. You know, and I appreciate that, man. You know, I'm from Lansing, you know, born and raised. You know what I mean? And like I said, just being true to self, just being true to self. I always tell people, man, you know, I'm just as human as everybody else. And one of my jobs, I believe, for being here on Earth is here to help. You know what I mean? I think my calling for being here on Earth is to help people, because every time I turn around, I'm helping someone. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but you know, us as people, we need help, because I was once those people. Sure, still to this day, I need help on doing certain things. You know what I mean? But you know, my mom always told me, in order to get blessings, you gotta help and bless others.
Mm-hmm.
Just that simple.
That's true.
And I live by that. So
Yep. You only get what you give.
yeah, yep. You definitely right about that.
Well, shit, what time is it right now?
Oh yeah, we've been going.
It's about almost 2 hours in. So I feel like before we wrap this up,
Yeah.
there's I wanted to ask you about the process as far as nowadays with the way that rap is changing, and there's so many different styles of rap, and I think it's even more than before, because I want to consider myself like an expert on all things rap, but I think I have a really good understanding of the history of it. And if you look at any other era of rap, there has never been this many different styles.
Right. Right.
How do you decide what you are going to do when it comes to making a beat, or do you try not to think about that, and are you just trying to make whatever you feel and hope that it registers to other people as they're like exploring?
Just the last thing you said. I try, like, don't get me wrong. It's always a plus to listen to everything. You know, us us producers. Well, at least for me, I can only speak for myself, but I know that a lot of producers may feel the same way. Being a music producer, especially in the age that we're in now, I think that it's best that we listen to a lot of different stuff, because you know, music is changing, the genres is changing. Us as producers, we think and try to do the best that we can to try to stay either ahead of the game or at least on top of the game. Uh, me, I listen to certain things out there, but a lot of my beats is more based off of mood, how I feel in the moment. You know, do I feel up? Do I feel down? Do I feel being on a lit level, or do I feel like being on some storytelling? You know what I mean? Because I used to rap too. You know, let's not forget, that's how all of this stuff started for me. I started out as a rapper. When I told you I was with my dad and I found that microphone, that's when I started rapping. But at the same time, when I started rapping, I was also messing around with the keyboard. And one day I knew that I was going to be a rapper one day. I was like, man, I just know one day I'm going to be a rapper. You know what I mean? So I was making my own beats, you know, and don't get it twisted. If I knew other producers that had dope beats and I could rap to them, I would buy them too. Um, what made me get my own studio was, um, growing up at the time, I just had bad experience. You know, I would pay people for studio time. You know, I would be dealing with shitty engineers. You know, my mix is not coming out great. You know what I mean? I just got tired of playing around one day, and I said, you know what? I'm just gonna save up as much as I can, and I'm gonna just buy my own stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I did it. And still to this day, you know, I never really came out with anything official, because every time I was trying to come out with something, people was always like, yo, how much would you charge me to do my beats, and how much you charge me to do my recordings? So, yeah, I mean, rapping is cool, but it'd take me all day to write a song. But it'd take me an hour, couple hours to make a dope beat. You know what I mean?
See, and it's crazy. I'm the opposite, because I did do music theory and composition in school, so I have like a general understanding of like music as far as like the foundations of it. And so like sometimes I'll set on GarageBand, and they have this ability to actually like pull up a keyboard on your keyboard, so you
Yep.
can like play the piano that way and
Yep.
shit.
Yep.
Make your own loops. So I've only made like 2 beats, you know what I mean, in my life like that, and they've been recent. I've put out one of the songs, that song After Death. I don't know if you heard it.
I heard it. I seen you post that. I did. That was a nice song.
I recorded that on a $50 USB mic, just sitting right there. Actually, just like no soundproofing or nothing. But I felt like it was gonna be grungy anyway, so I just let that be the style of it. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And but I do feel what you mean. Like there is like a natural intuition for whatever you're creating. Do you put yourself into a style? Do you feel like you fit like a specific genre of rap, or
I feel like with my beats, I feel like I can touch any genre. You know, as a producer, well, again for myself, I try not to be in one box. I try to have some versatility to myself. You know what I mean?
do you have a preferred style?
No, no. I mean, if someone had to ask, I would definitely consider myself as I want to say hip hop producer. I don't want to say trap producer. I don't want to say an R&B producer. Cause like I said, once again, I don't want to categorize myself. You know what I mean? I would definitely consider myself as a hip hop producer, but if I was to put my mind to it, I could make a pop beat. You know, I don't know how to play. Like I said, I know how to play keyboard, but I don't know how to play, bass guitar or acoustic guitar. If there's if there's any beats that come to my mind that I may not know how to play, either I would just go on YouTube and just find certain loops or instruments to sample, or I would just hire someone to come in and just play it. There's been a lot of times I hire a bass player come in. I'm like, yo, play this for me. Doom, 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 doom. And they go, doom, 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 doom. And I'm like, yeah. And I just sample it and I just put it onto my beat. You know what I
Really?
mean? Oh, yeah.
You know, cause on here like there's like a million different instruments that you can play. You can't just like artificially recreate the doom da doom like.
Right. Oh, I get
Do
what
you-
you're saying.
Do you not feel like that translates the same, or do you feel like? Because I've never had a live instrument played while I tried to make a beat. Like I've never even considered it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
How does that translate? Is it better?
I mean, yeah. I enjoy it. I like the fact that I can give someone an idea and they can actually play it or actually do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes having people coming in to playing certain instruments can definitely take your production to a type of level. You know what I mean? You got to think acoustic instruments have been around forever. Acoustic instruments are bass players or pianos or even if it's violins or strings or whatever that you're playing. That acoustic sound is always going to be rich. It's always going to be a great feel. So you can never go wrong with adding live instruments to your tracks. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah.
Well, shit. Feel like it's been fun, bro. It's probably it's about that time. It's
Yeah.
midnight.
That's cool, man. Yeah, I enjoyed it, man. It was fun. You know
Oh,
what I
yeah,
mean?
bro.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again. Fucking plan it for I don't even know, a few episodes down the line. But
Yeah.
we'll make it happen.
Yep, for sure. Keep me posted.
All right, yo.